Hey, John.
Eric, how are you tonight?
I'm good. It's later than normal.
we haven't talked at work for a while, so we did a bit of catching up before this. Some of that should have been on the recording, but alas, it's all good. It's all good.
Exactly.
So, how are you doing this week?
Well, since we already talked about it in the pre-show that we didn't record, I really need to start noting down things during the week that I say, ooh, I should mention that on my what did I do this week? Because I seem to forget by the time I go to write it down on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, you gotta keep a journal.
Yeah. However, I could give you a Rocket League update.
Oh, okay.
So my boy and I, we've been playing the Rocket League, and we've moved from rookie to pro league, and we keep getting killed by the AI. We have now made it to the playoffs.
Okay.
Playing the pro league, the pro version of the AIs, but only once so far.
So you didn't figure out the trick.
Just today, we figured out two of the AI tricks. Two things where if you can get the AI to get stuck in a certain scenario, they won't function as a human would. They will either knock the ball into their own goal, or they will move out of your way and let you knock the ball into your goal. But that scenario is much smaller. So we take advantage of those when we find them.
Not very frequent, though.
No, there's a cascading set of things that have to happen. And it's funny because when they start to happen, we're like, ooh, wait, don't mess it up. You can score the goal now.
That's funny. That's funny. Bugs. Bugs. That sounds like more like a bug than a feature.
Yeah. When the AI moves out of your way and lets you knock the ball in the goal, that's probably not intended. But they don't move out of the way all the time, only when certain other things happen. So
that's funny. Okay.
It is. It's fun. We are enjoying Rocket League as a thing to do, a father-son thing to do at home.
That's cool. You should have father-son things. Just with regard to gaming, I think it was yesterday, I walked by my son who had his Chromebook on his lap with the webcam pointed up at the TV so that he was playing the PS4 while one of his friends was watching him play the PS4 over the Chromebook, like a Zoom meeting. And they're just chatting. I'm like, okay, well, there's half my bandwidth, but
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I saw pictures. You sent some pictures today of some of the stuff about your bandwidth, and I am jealous of the cool data that you can gather.
The network nightmare from that I described last week in far too many details, and you left most of it in the podcast. Is still working, which is awesome, and I have deployed it in the house. So, I put up 2 more access points and a switch for the house. And then I've got 1 more switch for my desk that's still in the box on the desk. I got to install that. And then I'll be all done with what my intended use was. But I still have to figure out what my replacement is for the Eero Secure or Eero Pro, whatever. Because I really like the DNS filtering, and I have.
So I have been using the Cloudflare 1.1.1.3 for my DNS, which provides malware and ad blocking. And so far, it seems to be working relatively well.
What about content filtering?
It does do some content filtering. I have not tried to test the limits of what content filtering it does yet. I suppose I could give it there's a few websites I'm sure I could try to hit just to see what happens.
Yeah.
But I have not tried yet.
Well, I'll check it out. I was kind of wondering if I should do OpenDNS because I think OpenDNS has a content filtering thing.
I used OpenDNS prior to swapping to Eero Pro, and now that we're dropping Eero Pro, I'm trying out the Cloudflare stuff
for the same. Okay, well I'll check out Cloudflare. So because that's necessary. I've still got all the Eero stuff plugged in, but it's actually I haven't looked, but I don't think there's much using it other than my desk, because I'm still using Eero to bridge to mesh basically to my desk. I don't have a wire run to my desk, but I have I've got a wire on my desk right now, literally in the box, that I am going to snake through the ceiling and down in a corner somewhere. So
cool.
Hopefully by this weekend, that'll be one of my things for this weekend to do. So that's working. And then let's see. I guess the other fun things I did this weekend I was going to mention were I think I did mason bees. I feel like I mentioned that on the podcast.
Yeah. And I'm confused by your bullet item here in the notes. What does packaged up my mason bees mean? Well,
mason bees are they're really early pollinators. You know, they're out in March and then they're done by this point. And they're really cool, but they fill up these tubes with the eggs. They're not a colony insect or bee. The queen mates, and then the queen busies herself by laying eggs in cocoons in these tubes, and she'll lay like 2 females at the back of the tube and then 4 or 5 or 6 males in front of them, and then packaged with kind of mud in between, and then does that for half a dozen or so tubes, and then that's it for her. And then the next year they'll all hatch out again. So each one of the tubes has 4 or 5 males and 1 or 2 females. So I did a bunch of mason bee. I did 4 hive boxes, I guess, or mason bee boxes, I guess you'd say. And I actually experimented with a bunch of tubes this spring with some straws and some cardboard tubes that have paper sheaths in them. And so I packaged them up. When I say package them up, meaning I took down my mason bee boxes, took all the tubes out, and the ones that were full of mud, I just wrapped it in cloth and I left them in the shop because they need to be warm over the summer for the larvae that are in the cocoons to develop. But if you just leave them be, which you certainly could, but there's these parasitic wasps that will go and lay their eggs in the mason bee cocoons and basically kill them. But if you wrap them in a mesh net or cloth or something like that, then it'll protect them. And so anyway, I did that. I counted them. I had 69 tubes, literally, this Saturday or Sunday. And so I rehung all the mason bee houses inside my shop just on a post, and I packaged them up, and I'll leave them out there for the summer, and then late summer I'll have to watch YouTube figure out when to do this, because YouTube's my go-to. Late summer, I will actually take them and put them in my refrigerator in the house. I'll take them down. Maybe for a bunch of them, I'll probably wash off the cocoons, and then put them in the fridge to kind of keep them dormant until I want them to hatch next spring. And I'll put them out in waves and do it again. I got a lot though. Which is cool. I mean, yeah. So if you want to do any mason bees next year, I could probably hook you up. I know a guy. So, and then the other fun thing I did, this is also bee wise, is one of my hives that I tried to split last couple of weeks ago, it still doesn't have a queen. I went in on Sunday and they're dwindling. They had no eggs, no queen, no prayer of one, and I decided, well, I'm just going to buy a queen if I can. And so I checked out the local bee supply place, and they said that they would have queens on either the 17th or the 18th. So I was like, okay, gimme. And the cool thing was it was Apple Pay, which is only the maybe third or fourth time I've gotten to use Apple Pay online. It's so nice and easy.
Huh.
It was so nice and easy. But so I clicked the button. It already has my name, email, address, phone, everything else. Click, done.
Yep.
And then they said they would text me when it got here. And so they texted this morning. And so I ran over late this afternoon and grabbed it and brought it home and stuck it in the hive. So I'll go in this weekend and make sure that she's been she's gotten out of her box and is integrated into the hive. But fingers crossed, should be good.
What's the statistics say about? Is it a good chance? Is it a 50-50?
No, for integration like that, it should be like a 90%. So you got like a 60-70% chance, I think, if you do what I've been doing, which is just split the hive, give them eggs, and let them raise their own queen. But this is this is already a mated laying queen. So put in a hive that doesn't have a queen. So they do put a marshmallow in. So basically, she's in a little cage that has a screen on it, so the other bees can touch her and get her pheromone, but she can't get out and lay until they chew through this marshmallow. And then once they chew through the marshmallow, she can get out and she'll be in with the hive. So it basically is a slow release so that they get used to her.
Got it.
And it kind of helps. But it'll take maybe a 12 to 36 hours for them to chew through it.
Gotcha. So, okay. Yeah.
So I'll go in on Saturday or Sunday and see.
Cool.
Hopefully. We'll see.
Awesome.
So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, you did see the note from work about we are now rolling into October, the first Monday in October before we will be going back to work at the earliest.
I had not actually seen that until just before we started recording. So I expected it to be extended. I was extended farther than I expected, but I'm kind of happy that they're being cautious. I think it's wise. Why take a chance?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've shown that we can work really well, remotely. There's a lot of people that would like to be back in the office, and the fact that I don't have young kids at home makes it relatively easy for me to be like, working from home's fine. I just come down into my basement and I stay here for hours at a time. But I think that especially for the people with kids at home and not being able to, there's no camps, there's no preschool, there's no day care. That's the harder thing, I think.
Yeah. Well, I do miss the camaraderie and the ability to just pop over to somebody's cube and chat about something. So I do miss the personal interaction. I love my family. I have 4 of them in the house with me now, and 4 days a week I go to lunch with one of them.
Well played.
So I get to go to lunch every day. I know.
Well played.
I'm not blocking anybody else from going to lunch, but Dad's paying when Dad goes to lunch. So.
Bribery will get you at least a lunch.
Yeah. So, we don't go every day, but most every day we'll go to lunch and do something, and frankly, it's been great. And like I said, my situation is probably different than other people's. I have teenagers and up. And so we have adult conversations, and, daughter number 1 who's in college, we have what happens when you graduate next year? What do you want to do?
Right.
Daughter number 2 who is heading into her senior year of high school, what are you going to, it's kind of nice. So I have enjoyed that aspect.
Yeah.
But
I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, I do miss being able to see other people at the office. I do miss being able to, hang out, go to lunch, do a lot of the social interaction with my work friends that I have not been able to do.
Our work at home life will continue for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, let's get into the personal part of the podcast. Although I have a one piece of follow up that's actually kind of maybe this isn't personal. It's security related, work related for me, which is I mentioned last week or 2 weeks ago when I had the quantum mechanics fund that Steve Grobman, who's the CTO of McAfee, and I talked about quantum mechanics on the McAfee Securing Tomorrow podcast. So if you want to get a little more of my excitement about physics, then you can go listen to that, which is cool. And a little bit about security implications as well. I think I mentioned here that I was a lot more excited about the physics stuff. We didn't even talk about like the single photon bits for quantum key distribution, but that's cool. That's cool. But you can go listen to that. We'll throw a link in here. And
I have to go. I have not listened to it yet. I will have to go listen.
You can listen to it with a critical ear. I almost said critical eye. Go give it a listen. It was fun.
I will have to do that. I threw 2 items in for follow-up. The first one is Excalidraw.com.
Excalidraw.com.
So, was it last week or the week before? There was my something fun was hey, you can take a stick figure doodle of somebody's face. You can just hand draw a face, and an AI will generate a photorealistic picture of a human face. Excalidraw is an Electron app, so JavaScript.
Winning.
That allows you to doodle, basically create things that look like a doodle. And you can do architecture style doodles, cartoonist style doodles for Visio type drawings or any kind of drawings like that. If you want to make flow charts or whatnot that look hand drawn in certain ways. So it wasn't really a topic, and I didn't want to do it for something fun because I already have something fun. So I threw it in as follow-up fun.
That's kind of cool.
It's a little fun. All on the web, hand drawing stuff, or making things look hand-drawn. Not too shabby.
That's kind of cool.
And then the second article that I wanted to bring up from follow-up is kind of along the lines of we mentioned Black Lives Matter and a lot of the stuff going on in the community as well today. There's an article where GitHub is going to replace master with an alternative term to avoid the slavery restaurant. So typically when you check code in, you check it into master.
Yeah.
Right. And in my head, the first thing I thought was, hey, it's the subversion, return to trunk.
Here comes trunk.
Right. The return of trunk. But GitHub got on board with it. Google started it. And a lot of software companies, and we'll link to the ZDNet article that calls out a bunch of software companies that have been slowly moving away from terms like whitelist and blacklist and master and slave, master replica. Those have been in the software usage forever, right? For databases, you have a master and a replica, or drives, you typically had, you use that type of nomenclature. But if you read through the article, there's been companies that have slowly been rolling into new things, for years, 2014, 2016.
Well, I'm happy to see this happen. I think that it is, little things kind of create these, micro inequities, right? I've taken a course or a couple of them on, unconscious biases and micro inequities. And it is it is something that permeates our culture in many ways. And so becoming aware of them, and then even better, doing something about it, even if it is little things like, quote unquote, little things like this, I think is fantastic. So I support it.
Yep.
I support it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know some, yeah, it doesn't bother me. Apparently this bothers some people. I'm like, I don't care if seems like a good thing to me.
Yeah. If you think it's somebody being oversensitive, then maybe it's not about you. It's about how other people feel. So it's okay. It doesn't hurt me to say main. It doesn't hurt me to say primary. I think honestly, I'd rather it be trunk, because I have a lot of history with trunk. But yeah, I doubt it. I doubt that's what it would do. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Well, what'd you do for topics this week?
So I actually kind of cheated on topics this week.
Cheated? There is no. It's okay. Cheating's all right.
I looked in Slack and I'm like, oh, I threw several things in fun. I threw several things in follow-up. I didn't throw anything in topics. So I went to zdnet.com and looked under their security topic group, and this was near the top. It's
called research, Eric. It's called research. Yes, exactly.
It's called last-second research. It's like reading the book right before you walk in to take the test. So this one the title is Ripple 20, Ripple 20, one word, vulnerabilities that will haunt the IoT landscape for years to come. So apparently there is a very lightweight TCP/IP library, and TCP/IP is the code that allows you to connect to the internet or allows you to connect to other machines. And there is a very small library that was built and designed in the 1990s and is used in tons, apparently, of enterprise and consumer grade IoT, smart home devices, power grid equipment, healthcare systems, industrial gear, transportation, printers, routers, mobile, satellite community. I mean, just this little library is used everywhere. And the big problem with it is the library wasn't just used by the vendors of the equipment directly, but it was integrated into a bunch of other software suites that then other companies, so it's now got a rolling effect where you may not know that your product actually is even using this library because you bought some other package from someone else who bought from someone else who had licensed this library. So there are a number of vulnerabilities so far. They're still digging into more, and 4 of them have been found to be severe, let's say.
They have a very high CVSS score.
Yes. So 2 of them have a score of 10 out of 10, and 2 of them have a score of 9.8. And of those 4 vulnerabilities, it could allow attackers to basically take over, compromise whatever the IoT device is, if that device is connected to the internet, or if that device is not connected to the internet, if they are able to compromise something that is on the same local network that they're on. So even though if your device isn't on the internet, if a device that device connects to is on the internet, you're on the internet for all intents and purposes. So,
yeah.
So I just saw this. It came out yesterday. The article did anyways. And it is a company out of Israel called JSOF. I don't know if that stands for something, but they are doing a talk at Black Hat 2020 Security Conference, which is online now. So I'm sure we'll be able to see the results of their talk. And they say that they called it Ripple because it's not just these 20. They believe there's significantly more. They've just kind of scratched the surface of the 20 vulnerabilities. There are plenty more.
Well, there aren't actually 20 vulnerabilities.
Oh, sorry.
There's
Yeah, I'm just
19.
There's 19,
which is
but they called it
kind of drives. Yeah, really. So call it the Ripple 19. All right, but no,
yeah. It says, I just noticed they called it 20, not because it was 20 vulnerabilities, but because of the ripple effect they'll cause in the IoT landscape in 2020 and the years to come.
Yeah.
But I think they probably said Ripple 20 sounds cooler than Ripple 19.
So this is going to have some implications for sure, because it's not only IoT devices, but this same library is used in some instances of Intel chips. So with AMT, the active management technology, that is the how you can turn a Intel based computer on over the network. They've got a little mini TCP/IP stack if you're running a Intel network.
Oh, right, yeah.
Some of those use this stack. So Intel, I
didn't see it. That's not in this article.
I don't have I'll have to look up the Intel advisory. But there's it's not just IoT devices. So this is probably going to be talked about more for the next little week or so as people kind of get a handle on what all's going to be impacted and really kind of find out how far it goes. So yeah, I was kind of glad you chose this one. This is a good one for the week. It's not a minor one. I actually read the JSOF white paper where they detailed a couple of the vulnerabilities pretty well.
Right.
They're basically the main thing they're taking advantage of is IP packet fragmentation and basically buffer overflows. But they result in remote code execution, which is no bueno.
Never good.
Yeah. So that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, I'll see if I can't. I'll see if I can't dig up the Intel notice and put in there as well.
All right. Well, that's the one that I threw in.
That's a good one. And I forget how many. I saw something that was hundreds of millions of devices. I don't know if was there a number in that article.
Hundreds of millions.
It just said hundreds of millions. But they did say that the library started when first released in 1997. So it's a 20 plus year old library. It's had enough time to really integrate well into the infrastructure. Proliferate is such a good word. Yes. Okay. I grabbed two topics this week. The first one is a Krebs. So this is Privnotes.com is phishing Bitcoin from users of Privnote.com. So basically a typo squatting kind of, if you were told that, hey, go to Privnote.com to send a message and you went to Privnotes.com on accident, then you might not realize that, you didn't get to the legit site because it looks the same. But it is definitely not the same. So it's been taken down by their provider, but essentially what they tracked down, what they were doing is so Privnote.com is hypothetically a legitimate service that lets you encrypt a message and post it for somebody, and then when they read the message, it destroys it. But it's encrypted end to end so that even Privnote.com is not supposed to be able to read what you send. So I don't really know anything about the service. I don't know how they make their money. I don't know why it's free. I don't know who the type of people that use it.
But apparently Bitcoin.
But yeah, so that's one of the things is that privnotes.com, they're not encrypting anything. You can see that they are just sending stuff in plain text, even though, of course, they pretend that they're encrypting things. But then if you send a Bitcoin address in your private note, like send, a tenth of a Bitcoin to this address, please. Thank you very much. They will substitute the Bitcoin address with their own. And since the messages are single-use self-destruct, it's then gone, and it's hard to debug or prove that something didn't happen the way, I sent it to the address you said, right? So,
right.
But they don't substitute the Bitcoin address if the sender and the receiver are coming from the same IP address. And they don't do it if the same message or the same Bitcoin address is sent to the same person multiple times. So like if I send you, hey, send me a tenth of a Bitcoin, and you send, and that gets substituted, and you send, whatever to there. And then I say, hey, I didn't get it. What the heck? And, you look at your attribute and we try out a band or some other way that something's different. If I send it to you again, they won't do the substitution.
It'll work.
It'll make it harder to debug. But then the other, really tricky thing on this is if you type if you just type Privnote in Google, the top search result was a Google ad for the phishing site. So,
ouch.
The phishing site was clearly paying Google, presumably a keyword that does not have a high cost for per click, presumably, because presumably not many of these messages would have a Bitcoin address in them. I guess I don't know what the percentage of things are, but it must have been worth their time to pay Google ads to try to get them up above the legit site in Google results, because people click on the first thing, right?
Yep.
So that was brutal. So anyway, so this is basically a phishing site that was doing a substitution of Bitcoin addresses in there. See, I took out a couple of quotes, but I basically said most of them. But here's one thing that says, Allison Nixon, the security expert who helped me with the testing, said the script only seems to replace the first instance of a Bitcoin address if it's repeated within a message, and the site stops replacing wallet addresses if it's sent repeatedly over multiple messages. And because of the design of the site, the sender won't be able to view the message because it self-destructs after one open. And the type of people using Privnote aren't the type of people who are going to send that Bitcoin wallet any other way for verification purposes. It's a pretty smart scam. So, the other thing, though, is that since the Privnotes, the scam site, isn't actually doing any encryption, they can see other things that are presumably being passed for hypothetically private. So if there's password dumps or anything else, it can be being captured and used. And she said that at first I thought that was their whole angle, just to siphon data. But the Bitcoin wallet replacement is probably closer to the main motivation for running the fake site. So I thought that was a tricky little way of doing phishing, and especially with the advertisement.
Well, that, and as the researcher points out, the type of people that are using Privnote to pass around Bitcoin addresses probably aren't the kind of people that are going to send that Bitcoin address in any other way so that it can be linked back to them. So,
Yep.
There's, yeah. Smart.
Shady
people going after shady people.
I don't know. Yeah. So, all right. My second article is about a South African bank that is going to have to replace 12 million cards after employees stole their master key. So at least this is the hypothetical, or
I have not read this
one. It was from insiders, and I almost threw this up in follow up since there's not really that much data in the article, and we've talked about malicious, we've talked about insider threats a number of times, but this particular one, they presume that insiders printed out, and because they shouldn't have been able to get it out of the facility any other way, I guess, the master key that allowed them to fake other transactions. So basically generate valid credit card numbers and everything else. Because this says that the banking division of South Africa's post office, or Postbank is the banking division of South Africa's post office, and they've lost more than $3.2 million from fraudulent transactions and will have to replace more than 12 million cards for its customers after employees printed then stole its master key. So it said that between March and December of 2019, the rogue employees used the master key to access accounts and make more than 25,000 fraudulent transactions, stealing more than $3.2 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The other thing that I pulled out of this, though, there was a little bit more text in the article about how the master keys are supposed to be protected, like, best known methods, BKMs.
Right.
But it wasn't said from a position of authority for what procedures or mechanisms were in place for this particular bank. So I don't know. It just seemed like, somebody guessing, which I guess a lot. So I'm not, but the thing that I did, was a hard number is that, okay, so they had $3.2 million worth of theft, but here's a quote: following the discovery of the breach, Postbank will now have to replace all customer cards that were generated with the master key, an operation the bank suspects will cost more than $58 million. So $3 million in fraud, but $60 million in cleanup.
And you wonder why banks don't crack down on fraud.
Right? Unless
it's probably because of
exactly
financial reasons that, cost, and
it's easier to write it off in many cases, especially when they're not liable.
Cheaper.
They've got insurance or, get paid back from,
right.
What's that insurance, guarantee? I forget.
FDIC.
That's what I was trying to. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't because they're a South African bank, but yeah.
No. But just in general, I think that the
concept. Yeah.
Banks get a lot of. Well, I mean, heck, we bailed out our banks to the tune of a whole lot of money. No comment and no bitterness in my voice. You can tell. Yeah.
Well, are you done with that article? Because I have something maybe for you.
I'm done with that article. Okay.
So I don't know if you've done it yet. But go to that first link.
Oh, are we on to something fun? Okay. Something fun. I need something fun. Okay.
This is to raise your spirits.
I'm raising my spirits.
It is Inspirobot.me.
Inspirobot. I'm an artificial intelligence dedicated to generating unlimited amounts of unique inspirational quotes for endless enrichment of pointless human existence. Okay.
So you can either click the generate button, have it generate something for you, this AI, or you can enter mindfulness mode and it'll just generate stuff on a loop for you.
Okay.
So some of them
that one seems kind of useless. Let's see about the next one.
Into the PG-13 realm, but most of them are PG-13 or less.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Being a grown-up is not admirable.
So it's really a joke site, but Inspirobot.me. And actually, this is my boy brought this to my attention. He said, "Hey, Dad, you got to go to this website and read the things." And you can save off it's AI generated quotes against pictures.
That is funny.
So it's hard to describe. Like I have one that just says, "Don't ask, be strong." It makes no sense.
An astrological miscalculation can be the universe telling you to scare people.
Like I have one of a guy smoking a cigarette on the top of a mountain, and the quote is, "Get serious about your head, not breasts." I don't know what that means.
That doesn't make
that's
sense
the kind of stuff.
But okay, I love I love AI stuff. This is good. All right, I can see my kids like refreshing this. It's funny.
So, like I said, some of them get into the PG-13 range, but for the most part, it's just
I just
AI
had to beware
mindless.
of demons. So that seems like good life advice.
Humans can change our perception on time. That one's actually kind of deep. Anyways, that was my first something fun.
Okay. That seems cool.
And then my second one is actually something that's a little bit deeper. So the ACM.
Okay.
I need to pull up the article now. The ACM is doing the June 2020 issue is all on the history of programming languages, and it's not every programming language. They just asked. It seems like they just asked a bunch of people who created languages to write articles about, the history of their programming language, how it came to be. And as you know, I'm such a JavaScript booster. There is a 77-page article on the history of JavaScript. And this is...
Wait. 77 pages just on JavaScript?
Yes. A 77-page...
Oh my gracious.
Essentially research paper detailing all the players who got involved, all the stuff around it, how it was called JavaScript, and how Sun owned the term Java and let them use it. And, there is a summary article that we can link to both the full history of programming language, because it's got a bunch of other programming languages. If you're kind of a programming language geek, you might get a kick out of those. But there is a summary article that just takes on JavaScript, because JavaScript is arguably one of the most popular languages out there. It's used everywhere. If you've ever used any device that connects to the internet, you've used JavaScript. So it is kind of cool to take a short history lesson, because it's not that old in
language
the grand
terms.
scheme of things.
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
This is totally cool. In fact, I'm going to read all 77 pages.
I read the summary and started on the 77 pages and said, I'm going to stick with the summary, and maybe I'll get back to the 77 pages. But yeah, it's actually quite cool. It's good. You can download the full thing. They're all
that's cool.
Open access articles on acm.org.
Yeah, I'm stoked that ACM opened up all their stuff for during COVID, didn't they? Something like that. I feel like that was my something fun maybe a while back. Look at that. APL C++ by Bjorn Strustrup.
Emacs Lisp.
Cloture.
Groovy.
Ooh, Fortran.
The History of Logo. Now that one I think might be fun to read. That's only 66 pages.
The Early History of F#. Groovy. LabVIEW. I don't know.
LabVIEW. SR and Data Science. That one's only 17 pages.
Who what?
So, SR and Data Science.
Well, MATLAB. MATLAB is... Look at this. I could probably spend a week reading these things.
Objective-C. Yeah.
Look at all these things.
Anyways.
Smalltalk.
It was really cool. I thought this was really cool. So that's my second something fun. So my first one was goofy, and this one is more academic educational.
Okay. I guess I got to finish the podcast before I can read these. Okay. All right. I think that's probably a good indication of something that at least tweaks my fun button, which is programming languages. Okay.
There's the podcast title. Tweaks my fun button.
Oh God, no, that probably is not good. Okay.
We can comment.
Okay.
Edit that one out.
I get to edit this week. Okay. My something fun I'm taking from something that Dan posted in our Slack, because I think that this is cool. So this was NASA, the New Horizons spaceship. What did they call it? They didn't call it spaceship. Probe.
I'm cool with spaceship.
I think
spacecraft.
Spacecraft. There we go. It conducts the first interstellar parallax experiment. So this is, it's a NASA article, so it has a lot of words and not a lot of data in it. But it said that. So let's see, what did it say? So the New Horizons is more than 4 billion miles from home and speeding towards interstellar space. So it has traveled so far that it now has a unique view of the nearest stars. So at the end of April, they turned the long-range telescopic camera towards the closest stars, which are Proxima Centauri and Wolf 359, showing just how they appear in different places. So there's a little animation, if you look at the link that we'll put in the show notes, that basically flip between the view of space as seen from Earth and the view of space as seen from New Horizons. And basically, the nearest star just, flips places because, it's like holding your finger out, a couple of feet from your face and then closing one eye and the other and your finger jumps, right? That's parallax. Yeah. And since the New Horizons is so far from Earth, it has a different perspective on those near stars against the backdrop. So the background stars aren't changing because, in the grand scheme of things, the stars behind are not moving very much. But so that's super cool. And they've got pictures of them. And then the other thing about this that I guess I didn't realize, or I'm sure I must have heard it at some point in my life, but I didn't realize Wolf 359 was one of the closest stars to Earth, because I totally listened, and it was my something fun listening to that whole podcast about Wolf 359. Wasn't just a podcast. It was like a, what do you call it? I wouldn't call it a miniseries, a audio drama.
Yeah, I need to get back to that. I have not finished the full audio drama.
Well, then
I need to finish it.
I won't tell you what happens. Okay, then.
Yeah.
So yeah, no spoilers, but Wolf 359, great audio drama as well as flipping star. So,
cool.
Anyway, there's my something
flipping
fun.
star.
That's
There's
cool. Thanks Dan for posting it, T. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
All right.
That was cool.
Well, yep. We better call it a show.
There you go. Have a good night, John.
Have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye, Eric.
All right. See you later. Bye.